Thanks for listening to Creative Control. While I have you here, please consider supporting Youth Empowerment and Support Services, otherwise known as YES. Based in Edmonton, Alberta, YES provides immediate and low-barrier overnight and day shelter, temporary supportive housing, and individualized wraparound supports for young people aged 15 to 24. They work collaboratively within a network of care focused on the prevention of youth homelessness by providing youth with the necessary supports to stabilize their housing, improve their well-being, build life skills, connect with community, and avoid re-entry into homelessness. Learn more about how to donate or otherwise support YES by visiting yess.org.
Creative control, comedy, art, and sometimes rock and roll. Let's do a public opinion poll. Raise your hand if you love creative control. 'Cause when Vish is unleashed, well, Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just working on a tribute song to my favorite podcast, Creative Control, with Vish Khanna. My name is Matthias, and I play in a band called The Burning Hell, but more importantly, I support Creative Control on Patreon, and I think you should too. Quality long-form arts journalism is like a magical talking unicorn. It definitely exists, but it can be really hard to find. Fortunately for us, Vish makes it easy with hundreds of funny, thought-provoking, well-researched and engaging interviews with artists from all over the world. Your flexible monthly donation on Patreon will get you plenty of special exclusive treats and help Vish keep his podcast well-fed and cared for properly, the way a magical unicorn deserves.
To make your flexible monthly donation to Creative Control, please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol today.
Al Tuck is a legendary Canadian musician with a long and storied career who is currently based in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Emerging as a top-tier songwriter, singer, and musician in the early 1990s, Tuck gained attention for his affiliation with Sloan's label Murder Records, which initially highlighted the work of musicians based in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and along the east coast of Canada. Having toured the country many times and released acclaimed records, Tuck resettled back in PEI after living in Halifax for a long spell, where he tended to a family and his musical work. In recent years, Tuck crossed paths with Toronto's Aaron Comeau, a skilled musician, recording engineer, and producer who is now also based in Charlottetown, and the duo have worked together on a few of Tuck's latest albums. Tuck's most recent record is a wondrous triple album called Water, Blood, and Whiskey, which was self-released on Halloween in 2023. Al and Aaron joined me for a talk not long ago about things like making records inside of transport truck trailers and school portables. The days when the people were small and few, and finally recording a song that Al wrote some 20-odd years ago. Family stories and familial connections to people like Leonard Cohen. Recording a few takes all at the same time. Coffee breaks, improvisation and not fielding any questions. Smartphones, why the earth might be flat. Having children who sing and play music. The Main Street Music Library. New Al Tuck albums. Other future plans. And much more. A part of the Lionsgate Sound Network with the support of listeners like you who follow and subscribe to this listener-supported and donor-driven podcast. Spread the word about it. Leave nice reviews and ratings on your podcast platforms, and make flexible monthly donations at patreon.com/creativecontrol, which is the primary and most reliable way for a podcaster like me to make a living, and where a monthly subscription of $6 American or its currency equivalent means you can access every single episode of this show in its entirety, which is not the case without that subscription. All amounts are welcome, of course, but there are different benefits at the different subscription tiers. So if you're interested in supporting me and my livelihood and this show, and gaining access to a whole lot of content, conversations with people, bonus material, please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol today. Thank you so much. Plus, in-kind support from independent businesses like Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, Ontario, and Granddad's Donuts in Hamilton, Ontario. This is episode 895 of Creative Control, featuring the lovely and talented Tuck and Aaron Comeau, with your host, me, Vish Khanna.
If you dream of outer space and interstellar flight, you're dreaming. If you're dreaming that I'm wrong and you are right, I'm afraid you're dreaming. You can dream your life away. What would it matter?
Hey, Al, how's it going?
Good, Vish. How are you?
I'm well. It's nice to see you. It's been a long time, I feel like. I don't know exactly how long, but long.
Same as your hair, your new hairstyle?
Yeah,
I love
just got a haircut, actually, and it's shorter than it was, so I appreciate you noticing it. Yeah. Your hair's looking long as well.
It is long. It's got quite long. Thank you.
Where in the world are you today, Al?
Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
Very nice. And how are things on the island for you today?
Just fine.
Yeah.
This is great to be doing my very first Zoom call. Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom.
You're saying it correctly. It's pronounced Zoom. Good job. Yeah, that's good. Well done. No, it's great. Thank you for making... I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if in our history together, Al, I've introduced you to many firsts, whether you like them or not.
That's right. You have. Yeah. And it took you to point that out, Vish. Thank you. Thank you for all dragging me, kicking and screaming everywhere.
Yeah. It's not ideal, but at the same time, it's not bad. We can see each other. We can talk. It's fine. I think it's okay. Anyway, it's nice to have you. Thank you for indulging in modern technology. Also with us, Aaron. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for asking. I can see you're side by side with Al there, so I know you're likely in, unless this is an illusion, you are in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. But can you be more specific? Where are you guys? What's this room you're in?
We're in the basement of my house here on Upper Hillsborough Street in downtown Charlottetown.
Nice. And it looks like it could be a studio of some kind?
Yeah, it's my little home studio room here.
Nice.
That's
great. And do you make a lot of records by other people in there, or is it mostly for your own stuff?
These days, mostly for my own stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a bit of recording here with Al. And from time to time, someone comes in, but past couple years, it's mostly my stuff.
And I know Al has roots in the Maritimes, but how long have you been in Charlottetown, Aaron?
Just over 3 years now. Yeah.
Oh.
Kind of a mid-pandemic move.
Where'd you move from?
From Toronto.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. What brought you to Charlottetown?
I moved here with a partner. That has since ended, but I've stuck around, and there's quite a scene here.
Oh, nice.
A cool place.
I'm sorry to hear about the dissolution of your relationship, but you got a nice partnership with Al. That's something.
That's over too.
Probably not a real replacement, but something.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. It's all well and amicable. Just difference of direction, and but I'm still here. Still in Charlottetown.
Nice. And planning to stick around. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for the foreseeable future. There's lots of great stuff happening here. I get to do a lot of live sound on the island, which is something I didn't do a whole lot of before I got here, but really enjoying that.
But are you from Toronto originally? Where are you from?
Yeah. East Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Maine and Gerrard.
This has been a bit embarrassing for me on the show because I think I'm getting older and my memory's getting foggy. Forgive me. forgive me in advance. Aaron, have we ever encountered each other in real life?
We must have. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I was thinking earlier today, wondering if
I have your email. Like Al was like, I want Aaron, I'm going to do this at Aaron's place, and maybe Aaron will join us. I said, okay. And then I sent the email to both, and I was like, I was like, maybe I have Aaron's email. You never know, right?
Yeah.
My email, or anyone wondering, my email, my Gmail is basically like Google. You type in a name, and contact info shows up. I'm like, I don't remember ever corresponding with no Aaron. And then here it is. So maybe we're on a list or something together.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe group email sometime. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vish,
Anyway.
Vish, there's a place, it's about an hour east of where you're from there. It's called Toronto.
Yeah.
And, well, if you were in Toronto, you'd know all about Aaron long since, perhaps they've forgotten by now, but he was keeping everything running there in Toronto in terms of, his rustic studio, the trailer, in this little industrial pocket off the Danforth there, right across the way from his childhood home. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
In, what's that area?
Like the upper beaches is what they call it.
The beaches. Yeah, I know the area. Yeah.
So that's his natural habitat.
Yeah. I'm a Danforth guy.
But
Okay.
the developers came in and they wanted his little section too, and so that was that.
Okay. I appreciate this. But again, Al, I appreciate the interjection. I don't know that Aaron and I have ever worked together, communicated too much. However, in my email. So something must have occurred. Aaron, as this conversation ensues, we will discover that maybe we are related. Like we're blood relatives somehow. Something happened. The names Comeau, Kana, similar. So maybe there's something. Never mind. I'm on a wild chase here. Al, how did you come to know Aaron?
Well, actually, another fellow who's been transplanted here from the Big Smoke was running the bar, I think, or he was behind the bar at the Cameron House in those times when I was kind of like getting cozy with, it was a label as well at the time, or it was going to be. Maybe I got the order wrong, but when it came, we were wondering, it wasn't just me, this fellow, Mike McEwen, a.k.a. Q, suggested Aaron, well, he had no doubt in his mind that I should call Aaron if I wanted to do some recording in Toronto, and it seemed like that's what I should do. So I rang him up, and that's what we did. We've got a bunch of albums now, and it's been 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, I was just pulling out Al's CDs here and realized this first one we made, Fair Country.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful album. Yeah.
We met 10 years ago this month.
Oh, happy anniversary! See, I'm telling you, you guys are partners. Happy anniversary!
There you go.
Congratulations, that's great. 10 years of work, and you can't see it, everyone, but they just cheersed. Maybe you can hear it. Anyway, that's lovely. Aaron, had you heard tell much of Al Tuck before the phone call came in?
Just a little bit from another mutual friend who played on this. Jay Swinnerton was a huge fan of Al. And playing his records. I think he was covering a few of your songs at his gigs at the Cameron.
Cool.
Okay.
At that point. And then the label put out Al's prior record, Stranger at the Wake, before that. Yeah. So I think I got a copy of that.
Okay.
And,
so for some of us, Al's a bit of a legendary figure. A bit. That's a weird thing to say. A bit of a legendary figure. I mean, he's a legendary figure, no doubt. Forget what I said about being a bit. So his reputation can precede him, is what I'm getting at there. And it sounds like you coming up in Canadian music, did you heard the name before you actually dug into his work?
That's a great question. I don't know. Knowing you has kind of steamrolled any sense of what I might have of you prior to that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I understand. I appreciate
that.
So Al, what 10 years? What do you suppose it is about working with Aaron that has proven to be so fruitful and simpatico? I suppose for you.
Well, it's kind kind of mysterious, actually, because right from the start we seemed to have a good understanding, and we just got down to business and tried to come up with the goods. There never has been overabundance of verbalization things. We just like to, make sure everything's set up nicely, and the right people have also benefited from the generosity of so many Toronto musicians, for instance, since that's where we started all this. There just seemed to be, a shared interest in accomplishing things, and it's maybe it's not as easy as I remember now that each album is vacuum sealed or whatever. Then you tend to forget about all the mistakes and mistakes, I guess, once you've finished your product.
Right.
But it's been, I don't know. I mean, even down to Aaron's library here, there's a lot in common, and it just so happened that way. But
well, I think when we started, I remember you being quite taken with me doubling your guitar parts.
Oh yeah, well, he had some brilliant. The trailer, the first one that Aaron had was one trailer, and it was
so my studio was
very good setup with the drummer at the back of the trailer, up the bass player to his left, the piano
on the side,
on the
Jay on the piano,
on the other side, and then me with a glass, but I was looking straight at everybody except Aaron, who's at the back of the trailer with his board, somehow doubling what I was playing without having heard the song before necessarily. He has an uncanny ability, and that's just one example.
Oh, I see. You're not talking about double tracking. You would literally play along with Aaron, on guitar?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I got it. Sorry, I misunderstood what you said earlier.
So the sound just got bolstered instead of confused with his additions, right?
Yeah.
And it was all kind of like off the floor, and so there was our formula, and it became fairly easy to execute, if we had a quorum of top players there, So
that's cool. This trailer I keep hearing about. Describe the trailer. Is it a transport truck trailer? What kind of trailer did you have?
Yeah, it's 44-foot transport truck that is at the end of Dawes Road, right by the GO train station, the first one east of Union Station. And I think they had been sitting there for 30 or 40 years by the time I rented them. They were outside an old building, which was an old grain elevator. And this cool family had bought it and turned it into kind of artist studios.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they had maybe 4 or 5 units in the place, I think. There was a music school and painter there at one point. And then it was back, I found it on a Craigslist ad, of all places. And just a little text thing. It said Artist Studios. And then I noticed the address was right around the corner from my folks' house. And went and saw it. And it was just, an empty 44-foot transport truck with a door cut in the side of it. And they said, you can do whatever you want in here. $400 a month, I think. You can make as much noise. It was, completely detached from any other unit. And my neighbors were a Storage Mart and a Canadian Tire. And
the Legion. Don't
and
forget
the Legion, of course.
Across the street.
Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 11, RIP. It's also going to be a condo. But
oh, right. So the trailers were displaced by development. Is that what Al said earlier?
They were, in that little section of land where there was just a few of us there, and like a Home Hardware and the Legion. There's going to be, I think, 14 condo towers going up.
Oh man, that's a drag.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's a drag. I mean, there's there was a time. There were days when the people were small and few, and now there's so many of them that they got to tear down your studio trailer and figure out what to do with the taller and more people. It's annoying. So that's frustrating. Anyway, so would you, I've never heard of this before, this side of the Rolling Stones mobile studio, I suppose. Would you consider doing the same thing maybe in Charlottetown, trying to find a trailer and sort of, modifying it? Could you do that, Aaron?
I have considered that. Yeah, there's a trailer that looked just like mine, parked a couple streets away. Don't know who owns it, but and then I saw on Facebook Marketplace the other day, it's a very similar model.
Do people just sell? Truck. Is that normal? Like, I go on the internet to find batteries, maybe some vitamins, but I've never thought to look for a transport truck trailer. Is that easy enough to find?
It would seem to be. I didn't answer the ad, but there it was. And mine, of course, were immobile. Like the wheels were filled with
stationary trailer.
They weren't moving, but the ones I've seen around here, you could potentially park it somewhere, and mine met their untimely fate because we couldn't move them.
Right. They were more or less decommissioned. That's really...
Yeah.
Al, what's that like being in a trailer? Was it all soundproof? Was it did you get a good sound? Did you get a good feeling from it?
Oh, yeah, good sound. Yeah. Well, and like I told you, the most important thing was the layout of the players. Particularly, I would say, as well as we did later when Aaron got another trailer and they sort of intersected in a way. That was cool, too. But I think... if I can ever duplicate that, I would choose the linear rectangular setup of the band.
Yeah, as opposed to a square room or whatever, like a box. You like the linear part. Oh, that's very fascinating. Well, so that's an interesting.
So the singer could just look straight ahead, and he's got 6 eyes, and then somebody who doesn't need eyes way back there. That was. Effective. That was for this one, Fair Country.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And then we did this one, I think, the Gene McClellan tribute in the later setup, right?
Yeah, the later setup. So to explain to the listeners, I had the one, and then there was a second one right beside it that someone else, a painter, I think, rented it for my first 6 months there. And it was kind of on an angle, so they were kind of in a V shape.
Yeah.
And then when that second one came up for rent,
V shape, not V-ape.
Not a V shape.
Just
not
be
a V
careful.
Ape, but a V shape. I got it. Thank you, Al.
And I have a joke prepared today too.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I just don't want to forget it. Remind me once you finished.
Okay.
Comeau. Comeau's got more to say about that, but I have a joke.
Oh, my goodness. All right. This is great. Sorry, Aaron. Can you finish your thought there so we can get to the humor?
Yeah. So they were in a little V, and there's a deck in between them. And then I was kind of using them separately for 6 months maybe. And then I was sitting on the deck one night and thought, wouldn't it be great if this was indoors instead? So my... incredible landlords, I said, hey, can I cut a couple of holes in the sides of your trucks? And they didn't blink. They were like, sure, do your thing. And so I built a little kind of connection in between. So then if you look from the top, it actually then was in the shape of an A.
Oh, I see. Okay. Not just a V, but an A. And I want to get to this joke because we built it up now. But I just want to say also that this reminds me of a record. I got to make a record at the gas station. Dale Morningstar's place and Don Kerr's place on Toronto Island. And it was what's that? Oh, Al's pointing at Aaron. Did you?
So when we got the boot from the trailer, there was a few other engineers working there. A guy named Rob Shorthill as well, and we moved out to Dale's place.
Oh, okay. So all I wanted to say about that is that the orientation in retrospect was similar. It's a portable. It was like a school portable. So it was a long rectangular space But the layout isn't what Al's describing in my memory. It's a bit different, right? Is that fair, Aaron?
Yeah, it's a little... Yeah, it's not as linear. It's a little wider.
Yeah, it's a little wider. Okay.
Kind of semicircle orientation.
Yeah.
Visha, it didn't matter the layout, the recording that I did there on the very first day of the day before the lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
What was that called? Was it called the lockdown?
It's the day after the lockdown, I think.
You did a
Day
thing
after
at the gas station, you mean?
The last overdub on this thing was done on the day after the lockdown.
Yeah.
Out on the Toronto Island, my first visit there.
Oh, nice.
And we were actually concerned, there was some concern that we would ever get off of Toronto Island. So we had to cancel the subsequent session, but we did make it off with this this vocal from one of the songs on here.
Which one? Which vocal is it? Do you remember?
Mr. Green.
Mr. Green. And when you hear it, do you hear the uncertainty?
No, I hear the artificial waves that I added later that weren't even recorded on a beach. But this is...
just so for the people who don't know, the gas station portable was right on the lakeside. So you could take a break and go right to the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know I wanted water on the recording yet, and so we didn't do that, and they were added artificially later.
That's interesting because Mr. Green, this record that we're going to talk about is it's called Water, Blood, Whiskey, and Mr. Green, the song with the fake water, is not on the water section. It's in the blood section. Do you know that?
That's because blood is thicker than water.
That was a shoddy save at best, Al. I see what you did there, but no, I'm kidding. No, that's
shoddy
that's
save.
Fascinating.
I'm trying to explain the themes.
We're going to get to the themes in just a minute. Anyway, I just want to say I appreciate all this background. I didn't think we would end up in a trailer conversation, but that happens sometimes. Okay, I know everyone around the world has been waiting for this joke, so let's get to the joke. Al, you have a joke?
Okay, well, it's not really a joke. It's a text I had with my sister before I came over here.
Oh, okay.
And it's probably, she was concerned that it may not be quite correct in every way, but here we are. It's too good a joke to, or it's too funny. Where is it? Shit. Okay. I hope this is all right. I said, Vish is having me and Aaron on his podcast to plug the triple disc. And she said, because she pays for all these recordings, right? She says, I hope he has a broad following. And I said, maybe just his wife.
That's pretty good. You know, it's funny. I was just moments before we convened. First of all, Al, number one. That is a joke for the great pantheon of puns and jokes. I says to my wife, man, Al's got this amazing song called Ain't Seen a Lady. And and it makes me laugh a lot, even though I think there's a sincere aspect to it. And I could see some people bristling. I don't know why. Just something about it is like a little edgy, but it's real. And I told her, and my wife laughed just at the description. Hadn't even heard a lick of it yet, I don't think. So I'm just saying, there's some broad and ladylike humor, no pun intended, on this album as well. So congratulations on that. So let's get to this now. Al, let's talk about why you thought a triple album was an idea you wanted to explore. And then within that, let's get into these sections we were alluding to. Where did this sort of come from, Al?
A backlog, accumulating so many recordings from sessions over time and not getting any of them out,
I see.
And then they pile up and you think, well, there's quite a few of them. Can you make us some sense out of all this and sort of divide them into loose categories and just release them all at once so you can get on with what you're doing now?
Yeah. Okay, so the original intention was not thematic for you in writing the songs per se.
No, I wouldn't say that. Except by the time maybe I was a bit into it, I might have started thinking that way. Particularly the family disc, Blood.
Yeah.
The second disc. I don't know how conscious that was either. They did an event for my dad here, a memorial kind of presentation, and that got me to think. And then I heard my daughter Isabel singing one of my songs she discovered on the internet, and I backed her up on mandolin. And I thought, well, if she's going to sing my song, my old song, I'll write a new one for her.
Right.
And it's all about our family tree. So
that would be It's in My Bones?
It's in My Bones.
Yeah.
So by this time, and I wrote a song about my dad for this event. And so that's starting to look like you got a bit of a theme going. And then I figured, well, which other ones have anything to do with family in them?
Yeah.
I'll chuck them on there. And what does that leave? That left water and whiskey.
Yeah.
Blood is thicker than water, but where does whiskey fit in? I don't know. It's thicker than water, too. Is it thicker than blood? I don't know.
I don't know. First of all, I'm sorry for the loss of your father and some other family. You've had some losses in your family of late. Is that right, Al?
No, not of late. Thank goodness. And I appreciate that, Vish. But everybody is gone. Pretty much everybody is gone.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
No.
Yeah.
Friends. Most of my friends are gone now. I'm only 57.
Yeah. By the way, if your sister is listening, I do have a broad following, and it's not just my wife. I just want to say that this is time and money well spent.
Better delivery. That was better delivery. You know how to deliver these jokes.
Aaron, let's talk about your role on these in this. I want to say on these sessions. I noticed you're not. You didn't spearhead all of them. First of all, is that correct?
Yeah, there's some stuff from different sessions. I think Al, because I was still living in Toronto, so we did a lot of this interprovincially, and Al would kind of come to town every 6 months or so, I think. But then it just kind of naturally progressed into the place where if Al went down to Halifax and did a session there with Charles or someone, he would then send me over the files, and I kind of became the holder of an organizer of the files in a way throughout this.
Are you considered? I don't remember if it says this anywhere. Are you the executive producer on some level, Aaron?
Executive.
Yeah, I just wanted to put him in a penthouse suite office. That's all, or whatever. I don't know what they're called. I don't know anything about business. But are you the executive producer of this triple disc?
In a way, we're credited as co-producers here. Al and I on the record.
Co-executive producers? Guys, you got to build yourself up in the modern world.
Executives, yeah.
You got to put this on LinkedIn. Okay, so you're co-producers. Yeah. So these sessions, sorry, Al, you say they stem from many, many sessions. How far back in our modern chronology would you say you're dipping into? Like what year is the earliest material from?
Oh, yeah. I'm always looking for places to put pieces of sessions that I did back in, well, the oldest one is February 04. I know because it was the anniversary of my house fire.
Oh.
And I happened to notice that at the end of this long session in Halifax at the Sonic Temple with Jeff R. Snow and Brian Bourne, and so that was 2004, and there's a song on here that fit the there's a family element to it, I suppose. And so I said, oh, finally, here's somewhere that song can go. I do that sometimes. Other albums are all of a piece from one time, but this is definitely, panoramic.
And sorry, do you want to cite the specific song you're just referring to, Al?
Oh, pardon me. Yeah, it's Owl Call My Name.
Owl Call My Name. Okay. One of the songs that I already alluded to in a ham-fisted way is called In the Days When the People Were Small and Few. This is one of my favorite songs ever. Not by Al, not by any, it's just ever in my life. It's a song that I first heard. What year do we got? 2024? So I probably heard it 22 years ago, Al? Is that about right?
Holy crap. 20, is that? Well, that would be from, yeah. If you heard it when it was fresh, that's about right.
So you used to do it live. I sounded like Bill O'Reilly there for a second. You used to do that. You used to perform the song live, and it would always bring the house down. I don't know, Al, you did a weird show once where it was like a contest or something for Canadian Music Week at the Cameron House, and you only got to play, do you remember what I'm talking about? You only got to play a few songs?
Well, yeah, and that was the song that I won at the regional level with, in the East Coast. I won with that song and went to Toronto for the national to take on.
That's what it was.
To take on the other aspirants there from out west, where have you, and that's a whole story in itself. I could stretch that out. But, the showcase for the songwriter winners happened at the Cameron in the back room, and not all of these writers were quite capable of rendering their material in person, shall we say, So yeah. I think I was even helpful with some of the other competitors that way. And I didn't bring down the house with Small and Few that night. It was 5-0 that did it.
5-0 did it, absolutely. That's your I was just going to say 5-0, and it always was a crowd pleaser back then. And that song I feel like only emerged on a proper recording in the last decade or so. Is that right?
5-0?
Yeah.
It was on a live recording back in those times, but that didn't get really much circulation.
The Rebecca Cohen Auditorium one?
Yeah, and then I just kind of rocked it up a bit more one year, and it came out eventually on a studio album, but with the Small and Few, you may recall, Aaron, like sometimes our sessions had like focuses, things we were focusing on, right? Mm-hmm. I might be focused on something else, and we might have invited personnel and instrumentation that applied to such and such a thing. And but like every second session over the years, I might say, well, I'll try Small and Few. Let's see if we could. It was never really like the thing we were focusing on to get a studio version of it. And I don't know, how many attempts, fell flat to my mind, not flat, but entirely, but just not definitive enough.
Yeah. You did. There is a recorded, remember, Al, you did one for a compilation where you did a 1-minute version of it?
That's right. Yeah. Bilingual.
Yeah. And then in Guelph, there was a guy, Louis Melville, who would put out these compilations. So yeah, sorry, I'm telling the listeners and Aaron. Aaron, are you familiar with this? Al did a version for this triple disc, oddly enough. It was a compilation called 60-Second Songs. And I think Al was in town. I said, Al, you should go see Louis and if you can contribute to something. And Al did it. He did a 1-minute version of In the Days when the songs were smaller.
Well, and someone covered that 1-minute version.
Oh.
The Ennis sister, Teresa Ennis, not the Ennis sister. She finished a very good CD of hers with the 1-minute version because it was based on that. It may have been a producer put her up to it, but so there's a cover of the 1-minute version.
It's one of these melodies that for 20 odd years.
But have you ever heard of an artist, Vish, taking somebody's cover version of their song, asking them, the coverer, to remove their vocals and send it to them so that they can sing over a cover version of their own number?
What? Sorry, that's a little hard to follow. Is that what this character did? They said, "Al, I've covered your song. Can you?" But here's the instrumental bed. No, you did it. I'm confused. What are you saying? What did you do?
I think what Al's alluding to is the version that appears on this, the final version that appears on the triple disc, was a cover by Ben Rowland, formerly of the May Hemingways.
Oh, the instrumental portion is someone else's? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think you can still find it on YouTube. Same version.
Oh my God, I've not heard
Ben,
Al,
Ben singing.
Were you feeling lazy? You didn't want to come up with your own music?
Well,
we tried.
Like, after a while, we never did. I just didn't have a version, but his electric mandolin. And he played the melody accurately, and that's all I ever hoped for. Now, I mean, I just liked his version. It was the right vibe.
Yeah.
So it was hard to sing over his version because he has his rhythmic quirks, and I had to sort of pussyfoot around those. So it's not a great vocal even. But I've got 4 tracks of that song that will be definitive someday.
Yeah, I think we did cut it 3 or 4 times at least with the band.
I always like the guitar in it too, and it's one of these songs where if someone saw me walking down the street at any given point in my life and they saw me sort of mumbling to myself, "Dollars to Donuts," I'm singing the song. I'm singing the first section of it, and I can't help it. I sing it up to the lyrics I know, because I think the 1-minute version's ingrained in my head.
That's called brainwashing, Vish.
You've brainwashed me with this beautiful song.
Well, the whole first verse is based on false news, right? Fake news from back those times.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's preposterous.
Wait a minute. You're saying, after 22 years, you're finally dispelling this for me? There wasn't a time when people were smaller and fewer than they are now?
It's important to note that I do say I've been told there are more people living now than are
dead and buried in the ground, and the small ones among them stood but 5'2" in the days when the people were small and few. That seems like journalism. I've taken that to heart. I'm like, well, Al must have looked at an encyclopedia. I can't.
It was in the newspaper.
In the newspaper. It must be real. I think it's probably true. There are more people living than are dead and buried in the ground. That sort of makes sense.
Way.
Anyway, all I'm getting at is, maybe it doesn't. No, Al's shaking his head at her, and he doesn't. Okay, so you feel like...
I take that back.
You know what's funny is that version vaguely reminded me of Leonard Cohen. There's a few moments on this record that Leonard has come to mind, and then Isabel actually cites some family history with Leonard Cohen. Is that right, Al?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's, it's in my bones. Oh, because I'm talking about my mother's sisters. And, you want my little contribution to Leonard Cohen trivia?
Yeah, I do want that. That's why I thought I'd ask you a leading question about it.
Well, I don't know. I feel kind of funny. Maybe this is my...
it's in the song. It's not like we're spilling. I don't think you spilled the whole can of beans, but there's some reference. And like I say, I guess it's really shows you how little I know. But when I hear a beautiful vocal melody like that over a synthesized music of any kind, I think of Leonard Cohen among other people.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm very glad to be associated with great Mr. Cohen.
Yeah.
But his song "Sisters of Mercy"?
Of course, yeah.
Has anybody really stated, like, who were these Sisters of Mercy? How many stories have you heard about that?
Well, you've caught me a bit flat-footed here off the top of my head. I mean, I feel like I've read some books. I've read some books. Some of them were about Leonard Cohen, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I don't know. What are you getting at?
Well, she was one of the Sisters of Mercy.
Really?
It was her and her friend.
Huh.
And,
wait, sorry, this is your mother's sister? Is that what you said?
My mother's my Bohemian aunt, Barbara Green.
Ah.
And Now, she told me that I didn't see my Bohemianette that much growing up or whatever. She's on the West Coast or in Europe, Chelsea Hotel, wherever, I don't know.
That was a lot of different places in different parts of the world. She was on the West Coast.
Mallorca, St. Ives, Montreal, New York.
So truly a bohemian.
Liskeety Island. Barbara Green. She was Canada's first bohemian.
Oh.
No, that's preposterous. Well, her and her friend made headline news everywhere they went one time because they were hitchhiking. 2 girls hitchhiking across Canada. Didn't happen, right?
What year about was that?
Well, that was earlier. You see, this is what I can't quite figure out about the song, but she did tell me that when we had dinner. I was university age, and we went out, and I remembered her telling me, although she's not a name dropper, far from it, but, I told her what I was into, and she had a story for everything, including Leonard. So, but years went by, and I started to wonder about this. Did I make that up? Time goes by, and you wonder.
Yeah.
Where did that come? Did that? No. And then I'm looking at a magazine where he's talking about it, and he describes the blizzard in Winnipeg, and he had the place to stay, and they took up all the space, so he had to write it all in one night. And I was like, damn, that's it right there. And then he said Barbara and, pardon me, I forget the other gal, but he said her name was Barbara. But the real clue comes in the middle of the song there where he says, they will bind you with love that is graceful and green as a stem.
Wow. Okay.
There's her name was Barbara Green. So there it is. I feel kind of funny because when I saw her again the next time, I brought up, she didn't want to beat a dead horse. She used to do documentaries herself, right?
Right.
And she didn't like people repeating their stories. So she talked about the time her and the same girl went to the British Black Panthers party and took acid for the first time or something.
Those are both good stories. She sounds like she could tell good stories, yeah. But the Leonard Cohen thing struck me because, like I say, every once in a while, more so than maybe in my previous Al Tuck record encounters, I felt Leonard's presence. So maybe that story, and then beyond Isabel citing him by name, then we've got the synthesized version of In the Days When the People Were Small. Anyway, all of it, just there's a bit of Leonard swimming through the record, I think, that's where I'm coming from. I don't know if that resonates with you.
Too much, maybe, because then my daughter, perhaps with her mom's influence, edited the final verse of that song, took that out, where I alluded to the green stem, but for very good purpose, so that my mother, her grandmother, would get a verse at the end of this long song. She inserted a verse about her granny, which is the right thing to do, because I had left her out of all of it, talking about her siblings and all these other relatives. So, yeah, I mean, Leonard, what more can we say about him?
Yeah, no, I hope I haven't led anyone down the wrong path by suggesting it. I just hear him, feel him a bit more than usual is what I'm getting at. I interrupt this episode of my own show for a brief thank you for hearing my call to support me and my work on Patreon. We have seen a lot of growth in Patreon support over the last little while, which is amazing because that's my primary source of income these days. And I love doing this job that I invented for myself a whole lot. Creative Control is a listener-supported podcast. Do podcasters receive any streaming royalties from podcast platforms? No, not any. Does podcast advertising pay the bills? Not for a show at this scale, no. Do all podcasters get paid by companies for their work like some celebrities do? No, most of us do not. We do this work to support our communities and because we love it. So what's the most reliable source of income for podcasters like me? Crowdfunding platforms like Patreon. So if you love Creative Control with Vish Khanna and want to see it continue, please see the notes in this episode. Click on the link that takes you to my Patreon and its different donation tiers with various incentives and benefits, and support me and my work today. Thank you again so much. Aaron, I want to go to you. Al, before I forget, I want to ask you about some of these familial decisions and choices, because both your kids are on the record. We've just talked about these stories about you alluding to your family. I wonder, you say you're 57. I just wonder if you're feeling particularly reflective of your family at this point in your life. Let's bookmark that, though. Aaron, just talking about the amount of material you had to work with and the way it's been divided. You know what? Let's start with this, because I don't think everyone's going to know what it's like to work with Al Tuck. How would you characterize working with Al, maybe compared to other people you work with?
Isn't this,
those of us, go what?
Wouldn't this be a great time for Al to get the coffee, and so he can, characterize me while I'm getting the coffee?
Yeah, if you're feeling a little decaffeinated and you want to take a coffee break, go get your coffee and I'll talk to Aaron. Yeah. But don't. I hope I wasn't intending to make you uncomfortable.
Not at all. I'll just be a sec.
What's good? Okay, you get the coffee. That's fine. Go ahead. Yeah, you get the coffee. Al's going to get coffee.
Excuse.
Aaron's going to talk about Al without Al being present, and then who knows? When he hears the final version of this, you never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
Yeah, so Aaron, can you characterize what it's like to kind of work with Al? Because some of us have played with him or seen him live. It can be very dynamic. How would you characterize it?
Yeah, with Al, you have to let him take the lead. And I mean, I worked with Al first in the studio before playing with him live. And, his reputation kind of preceded him for live shows being, how should I term this? Like, sometimes they could be the best shows ever, and then sometimes they would kind of go off the rails a bit.
Yeah.
But the first time, I met him at my studio, and then we proceeded to spend 2 weeks from 9 to 5 recording country songs. And we'd do kind of 3 takes of something. So I kind of start at the beginning, because the first thing that he did that was kind of different than any other artist I'd worked with was, to get the take of a song, he wouldn't stop between takes. So we'd start the tune, and then once we finished the last verse, he would just start the first verse again.
Oh.
And and then often the third take would be the best, and he'd leave me to kind of chop it up and fade it in or find a good way in.
Has he ever articulated why that's his chosen method?
No, not in so many words. Just I think once we got going, if we stopped the train running, then something would change, or we'd end up taking a break, or someone would check their phone or something. So we just kept rolling. And that kind of sums up, working with Al was always just kind of waiting. It was my job to be always set up and ready to capture it, because you might not get it again. And that's not a bad thing, not a slight of any kind of professionalism. It's just Al really he goes for it, and when he hits the take, that's where it is.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready, then so often with Al, I realized after a couple records, and we've done, if you count the triple disc as 3, I think we've done 6 now, that I didn't really need to give him too much feedback. I just needed to create a space where he was free to kind of emote and express himself. And, if we needed to take an hour break or whatever, however he was feeling that day, then you might take an hour break and go in and get 3 tracks that ended up on the final product. So
I think what you're describing is something that those of us who are familiar with Al are aware of, is that the moment and the feeling is paramount to almost anything else. So if the song's rolling along, and you're in that moment, to sustain the moment on some level, you would restart the song. Like I've just never heard of it. Aaron, have you ever encountered anyone else doing that? I think you said already, no one has ever done that.
No, and since I don't think since either.
Done what?
Well, I was talking about how in Fair Country you would come in and play a song, and then we wouldn't stop between takes. You know, we would play the song 3 or 4 times, and then I remember particularly on Suspended Class 7.
Other people don't do that.
No.
Yeah, Al, why do you do that?
Well, there must be somebody who does it. Don't you think?
Maybe. Nobody I know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there might be, but why do you do it?
Well, you're hoping you hit upon, I don't know if I can call them grooves, but, you know, if you haven't hit it, I don't know. Or if perhaps some of the words were wrong that time, you must, but why stop, you know, if you can just keep on trucking. Mind you, on this some other recent recordings I've done, there's this very long take of a song, and at the end of it, listening back, I hear me say, like, you want to do it, go through it again? And the drummer just like grinds down to a halt. He's getting old, right? You know, and I'm sure glad we didn't go through that again, because it was not right in the first place, you know, so.
Yeah. I mean, some of these songs that are on this record are 6-7 minutes long. So with Aaron's insight, that could mean that the version that was captured is 21, 22 minutes. Is that is that the logic I should follow there, Aaron?
Well, I mean, and I'm saying that was kind of the first one, and then I'm looking at the track listing on the triple disc. So the process kind of evolved, and on some of these, what Al started doing is instead of getting a groove going and repeating it, we would do it a different feel the next time.
Yeah.
So there's tons of outtakes to dig through, but we would try it slow, and then if we didn't quite hit it, then Al would just start the same tune but twice the tempo, upbeat. And
yeah, this is Vish, you know you're Dylan, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Well, come on, like this is an approximation of his method, right? And
yeah.
If you know you're going to shift it when you retake it, then you may as well get the most out of how you're doing it now, right? You know, yeah, or like, where am I going to live when I get home? The last song on there.
Yeah, remarkable song.
I don't know how we were doing it. I didn't even have a way of doing it when I wrote it. Like there was no real way. I mean, it had 3 chords and verses. And so there's no real way that I had of doing it. We were trying out God knows what. But somebody, Thomas McCollum, starts playing a certain lick, and it coalesced. And then all of a sudden we're doing a Nyabingi rhythm. This is something in Rastafarianism, you know, like I didn't say, okay, strike it up, lads, or we're doing Nyabingi rhythm now. I didn't know we were doing that until after, you know. But if we didn't really explore and probe, you know, like that in a somewhat tentative manner, we've never arrived at that feel.
Yeah, and I realized that a big part of working with Al through the years was finding people. I would often kind of contract the players for the session and find who was around, and I was doing a lot of improv music, and that scene kind of, it really worked for Al, because I realized after a little while that I needed people who wouldn't ask Al any questions.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I noticed sitting behind the board that anytime someone, you know, said, "Hey, wait, stop the take. Can you repeat what those chords were? Can I get there?" We would play it again, and Al would play different chords.
Right.
I remember once I asked Al early on to send me some demos of all the songs we were going to do, and he did, a bit reluctantly. And then I informed him I had sent them to the bass player, so at least the bass player could learn the chords.
Uh-oh.
And then the session, maybe predictably, no longer included any of those songs.
I used to think Al was contrary, but I think it's something. It's I don't know. It's not the right word. There's something else there. I can't figure it out. You're getting to it. You're talking about it. Al can hear us talking about it, which frightens me because I don't know what he's going to do next. Al, how would you characterize your attitude when it comes to what Aaron and I are kind of describing? The notion of players being, I guess, not even over-prepared, even mildly anticipatory of what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's their problem. Like to stop a take, to have a stop a take because like somebody, you know, on the side here has a question or like, no, because that could be the, you know, it could be the where we're really hitting it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a minor. Any one part of it is minor, including me maybe, but that's a definite no to stop a take over some little quibble or question or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I could, from the sound of it, I think I've taken this too far, you know, and you could call it contrarianism if it's the way Aaron described it. But no, it's nice to have things unfold. I think it makes for a more durable document, you know, if something kind of, if it isn't just unfolding, if it's just unfolded and you're unfolding it again, that stuff just kind of, you know, breathes, or it should. So that's all the other eccentricities are just, you know, dancing around that, you know, strategy.
Yeah, I think to get to that groove that you hear in your head, when you get there, let's say you strike upon it somewhere late in a first take, putting it in air quotes, everyone. And then for the second one, you're like, yeah, let's keep going. Let's do that again. By the third one, you're kind of seasoning the groove. The groove has become a little seasoned. It's become a little more experienced in its lifetime. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And then you want to explore that. And I think
I perhaps have brushed up on the lyrics, and I'm rendering them, you know, enough so that I won't have to patch in the right ones or whatever, you know, by the third often take, wouldn't you say? Second, third takes?
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the track listing for this, the previous one, that Days of the Looking Glass, the Gene McClellan covers. And I think a lot of those are second takes, second or third takes. Yeah. And, I mean, that owes a lot to Jay Swinnerton on that record, who knew Gene's catalog quite well. So we had Jay and Al heading up, and you know, the songs were in there somewhere.
But get this, Vish. Jay knew Gene McClellan material.
Yeah, I've got,
at the top of the stairs.
I've got it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
He knew, but like, I seriously don't. I'm not sure if the other players on this understood that we were even recording a tribute album to anyone.
Which is good. No preconceptions. No preconceptions.
Did they know? Did they know?
I don't think so. No,
they didn't
just
know.
Said
I would think that's what.
today.
I would think that would be a perfect scenario for you, Al.
They didn't know.
No preconceptions, right? Yeah. As a player,
and that was. I mean, that was a particular good day. Everyone happened to be available. Some fantastic improvisers, Gail and Pelly and Mike Eckert and Bruce McKinnon there.
Most of it in one day.
Most of it in one day, yeah. There
was another day too, a Tuesday and a Monday.
And Thomas McCollum, of course, on the tin whistle and other things.
Well, getting back though to Water, Blood, and Whiskey, we've touched upon some of the family stuff, I suppose. I do want to get into whiskey a little bit here. Not myself, I don't drink, but I want to get into the record because there's a tone here and there, Al, that I was curious about the modern world and the media, maybe about a pandemic, maybe about technology. Can you talk about some of the themes that are swimming around whiskey and getting drunk in it, I guess?
Well, first of all, it couldn't. It all predated the pandemic.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But I feel that my triple disc, still sounds like it's a post-pandemic CD, and I'm happy about that. I think I must have been isolated already.
I feel like maybe you're one of these people that might be a bit prescient. Like We've Got Some Things to Put Behind Us on the first disc, Water. You sound like someone who's reacquainting himself with performing live, and seeing people. Turn the house lights on, everyone. I want to see you, because that suggests, for whatever reason, you've been disconnected from that social intercourse.
That's right. Well, yeah, that's why I put it first, I think, that song. And it's a bit of a fantasy, me playing in a venue that even has house lights or an audience. But those words are actually purloined from, here she is again, gosh, I miss her, Isabel, who at a very young age, when I reprimanded her one too many times for spilling the chocolate milk in the back of the car, and it was still smelled of the chocolate milk.
Oh my God, that's a horrible smell.
It's the worst,
to
right?
have soak into your car.
So I said, like, Isabel, yeah, we'll have to be more careful. And she said, Daddy, that was then. This is now. We've got some things to put behind us. Verbatim. I remember that. So were her words, as we pulled out of the driveway. But yeah, the way I used it in the song, yeah, it's whatever I spun out of her couplet there, or whatever it is.
Okay, I want to ask you then about a couple of things. Tell me about Smartphone 7 and You're Dreamin'. Can you recall those songs enough to tell us a little bit about what inspired them? That'll cut us to the quick about what I was trying to ramble on about.
Smartphone 7?
Yeah.
Phones, right, yeah. Well, dudes be just as bad with them now as the broads were before. I do have a broad following. How broad is it?
Just so everyone's clear, people who know my show, I don't normally engage in the broad talk. I don't say little things like that, but
this is just
we're doing it now, and it's just the way it is.
I'm sorry. You're like, I couldn't help that. Pardon me, but yeah, it's about phones changing things, and the 7 part I've selected because there are 7 beats to the bar in the song. It's, if you listen closely, you're a drummer, try to drum to that. But we didn't take enough time to really work that out with Galen to, as a science, how he was going to do 7 beats to the bar. He just felt it so well that it worked, But I don't know. Why, are you going to play this? Or people won't be interested.
We can play a song at the end of this interview. No, we can play whatever you want. It's a lot to choose from. My point is, Smartphone 7 and You're Dreamin', which I asked you about as well, I think kind of alluding to the modern mass media landscape. I guess what I'm getting at, there's a few things here where it's Al Tuck, I think, just trying to convey thoughts and process ideas about the way we're living. And,
okay. Yeah.
So just to follow up on what I was saying, can you give us a little sense of where You're Dreamin' came from?
You're Dreamin'. Oh.
This is the one about CNN and CBC and alternate realities and information, I think. Unless I'm wrong, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, sometimes I get it backwards. If you're dreaming, the synthesis of a thesis and its antithesis isn't how they fleece us.
Yeah.
That's Hegel or something.
Right.
The synthesis of a thesis and its antithesis.
Is that Hegel?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
think that's Richard Pryor. It's Richard Pryor, isn't it?
I don't read a lot of Hegel. Richard Pryor?
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like something Richard Pryor might say.
Well, yeah, I can believe it. But that's a complicated thing to try to jam into a number, but it's important to say for anyone's benefit. You know, like if they get their head around that, you know, what is happening? You know, it's a synthesis of theses and antitheses.
We've said it so many times now that I think that's going to be hooked in people's minds, along with in the days when the people were small and few. Now I'm going to be singing that, what you just said, for 20 years. Aaron, when you hear songs like those, or maybe this refrain about how the world is flat, what do you think is going on in Al's mind? What is your perspective on what Al's sort of talking about?
That's a great question. Sometimes as the engineer I take a neutral stance, but yeah, I don't know. Al, whether the world, for a while I thought it was a pure metaphor, but then we get to lines such as, what do you say? You kind of flat out say, no, this is not a metaphor. I believe the world is flat. Or no, that's not a direct quote. That's a paraphrase. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the modern media landscape is just so overwhelming, I think, for everyone. And we're all kind of tied to our smartphones and inputting information from all across the world at light speed every day. And I don't think we're prepared for that yet. Even just from you know, in the 10 years that I've known Al, kind of watching him try to grapple with the changes and me trying to figure it out as, you know, kind of from the next generation. Like I got a cell phone I think in my last year of high school. So I'm kind of on the edge where I still had a bit of adolescence without that, kind of running around still calling people's home phones and so yeah, I think we're all in this boat trying to figure out exactly what to do with kind of this internet that's all around us now, especially in the last 4 years. You know, this kind of talking to you on Zoom right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Aaron, you were from another time and you thought the internet was invented 4 years ago. I'm like, no, it's invented a lot longer than that, older than that. No, and it's funny you say that because I've been doing this kind of work, talking to people around the world. Right. Between this show and my previous work for, what year is it? Yeah, 20 years. I've been talking to people either like this or on the phone. So I've had a lot of remote friendships and remote rapport. And
thanks for having me into the station the last time, Beach.
Yes, that's right. The last time we were in person. That's correct. In Guelph. That's correct, Al. Yeah, the last time I think you were even on this show. So all I'm getting at is... yeah, you're probably onto something, Aaron. We were never prepared for this. We were never prepared for how human innovation can be twisted and for nefarious purposes. And that's the weird thing, you know. My parents the other day, my mom was like, my mom and my parents are very sweet. I'll just tell this story as quickly as I can. They signed up for my Patreon because I knew this is my job now, and they were like, can we give you some money? I'm like, no, never. I'm fine. I'll figure it out. I don't need your money. They're like, what if we contribute to your Patreon? I'm like, well, that's a loophole. I commend you. I commend you as parents for figuring out a way to give your kid money without him feeling, you know, I still have the shame, but I'm not. I'm fine. Anyway, then 2 weeks later, Vishal, my WhatsApp was hacked. We're going to cancel the Patreon. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And they said, it's on my phone. Someone hacked into my WhatsApp on my phone. I'm like, is it the same email as the Patreon or anything else? Like, why not just cancel everything? Your cable? Why are you picking the one thing? And then I thought about all the times they promised to give me money and then backed out of it. I think they were just trying to get out of giving me the Patreon. Anyway, my point is, my parents embracing modern times, and someone's trying to take advantage of them. And we go through this all the time. Hey, I want to be informed. I want to be engaged with the media. What does the media do? They take advantage of our good nature and our need to be informed, and they give us stuff we don't really need. Sorry, now I sound a bit like Al on one of these songs. Al, is anything I'm saying resonating with you?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Is what I'm saying, does that, no, I can hear you too, Al. I can hear you, and you can hear me, but is what I'm saying resonating? Does that, do you relate to what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah, it's refreshing to hear, anybody who has a beef with it over any of this, especially someone, in the hub of things, such like yourself.
Yeah, I have a broad following.
Indeed you do.
Okay, so Al, do you think the world is flat?
I, on the other hand, ain't seen a lady in many's a day.
Man, I don't want to spoil it. Maybe we'll play this song because I've talked about it so much, but just the way you end up talking about your wife, oh my God. It's one of your most clever songs, Al. It's great.
I only called her that because, it's a reference to an old vaudeville joke or whatever. Take my wife, please. Or take my wife, for instance.
Yeah.
Or,
yes.
That's
right. Henny Youngman or somebody like that? Something
like that. We weren't actually married, the lady in that song, so at the end. But for the sake of humor, I fudged things a little bit.
Looked at my watch, looked at my wrist. There's a couple of Bob Dylan references, I think. But then when I think of Bob Dylan references, I also think, oh, he probably took that from someone else, and I don't even know exactly. There's a few little lines like that. It's a very clever album, and but I didn't. You dodged my question, and I want to wrap up shortly. Al, do you really think the world is flat?
Absolutely, Vish. If the world weren't flat, then Aaron and I could rent a helicopter, go up in the helicopter, hover in the helicopter, and wait while the world spinned by. And then we could get off the helicopter until the world had spun sufficiently to our destination. Say, are you in Calgary or Edmonton?
Me? I'm in Edmonton.
Edmonton. We wanted to get off in Edmonton, wait till the world spun, and then we could be there. But that's not how it happens.
I believe the world, unless you're thinking of the film Superman, I believe the world spins at a very incremental pace.
10,000 miles an hour or something?
You might know more about it than me. And I said spin because I'm an adherent to the notion that the world isn't flat. Aaron, are you coming around to Al's theory that the world is flat?
No.
Okay, just wanted to clarify Al. That at least there's a 2-to-1 ratio of people who believe the world is round.
I'm not trying to win converts, by the way. I just want to be somebody's got to tell it like it is.
But do you, because you refer to NASA creating images and stuff in the album, and I'm like, oh no, what happened to Al? And then, but do you think that all the imagery and the photos of the Earth being round are fake?
Well, you look at them and you'll see how different each image is, because this is an example of art triumphing over science. NASA.
Oh, I see.
These artists have how many billions of dollars is in the budget just for a bunch of artists? Right. But it keeps changing. Each of these supposed images, you can absolutely see so many variances between them.
Okay.
If you want to talk about that. But,
so do you think it's round and flat?
Yeah.
Do you still think it's round?
Round.
It's round, but you think it's flat?
It's quite clearly flat, yes.
Okay. All right. You know what else is round and flat? Each of these CDs. And that's my segue out of this.
But they spin. But they spin.
They also spin, yes. That's
the
true.
problem.
Just like the Earth, which is a globe. Now, Al, how do you? I see we got a triple CD here. Thanks again for sending it to me. In the modern age, a lot of people like to listen to records on vinyl. Have you thought about I know your sister's listening, and she's the financial backer of all this. The real executive producer, one might say. Do you think you might press these on individually as vinyl discs?
Oh, these ones? I hadn't been thinking of that because I've just recorded a couple more albums.
Oh, okay.
That were designed from the start to be on put out on vinyl, and so we have 2 double vinyl albums that are about to be produced.
Great.
Two double vinyl albums that I've written since the release of this.
Do you have a timeline on that at this point in terms of?
And
when
it sounds like you
might...
like my political stuff on the whiskey disc, and so you might be a fan of these ones.
Oh, I am. I am a fan of the political stuff, and if you will, the social. I always like your sort of social commentary. I viewed in the days when the people were small and few as kind of almost a socio-political song on some level.
I've got a second Flat Earth anthem on this one coming, which is called "You'll See When You See." But first things first, is there a way to break through to the flat earthers that are out there and let them know about these discs?
Probably not via my broad audience, no. But we could figure it out. I can go on some Reddits and share the link there. Subreddits and where all the conspiracists live. I can find them.
Well, they're not conspiring.
I'm sorry. I used the wrong term. I didn't mean to say that. You know who I mean. The people who think the Earth is flat, the flat earthers. You named them yourself. So yeah, I'm sure we can find them for you.
Can we keep it quiet so the conspirators don't find out about it?
You mean the people who think the world is round? Yeah, we can try to figure that out. They're the real conspiracy theorists, I think, is what's happening here. Aaron, do you have a sense of when these vinyl records might be out in the world?
I'm not sure, actually. I for these ones, I wasn't part of this. I went down to Halifax and did these with Frank Lopes.
Frank Lopes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, great. So, Al, any timeline on those?
Well, I'm about to get into the package design, and one of them is ready to be mastered. It's finished, and the other one, I'll be topping that up next week, and hopefully by the end of that next week, it'll be finished too. So timeline, I don't know, just as soon as I can get it out. Okay,
that's great. Aaron, if people want to keep tabs on you or work with you or anything like that, where would you like to direct them using the World Wide Web?
The World Wide Web. I run all my stuff through. I started a company called the Main Street Music Library. You can just search up Main Street, mainstreetmusiclibrary.com.
And people can hire you to produce records and engineer records?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, get at me through there. Happy to work with anyone who comes calling.
Okay, sounds good. And Al, if people want to learn more about you, where would you direct them these days?
Just don't go to my website. That's all I could say.
Yeah, you've had some website troubles in the past. You'll have a website, and then you won't have a website, and then you'll forget the password, or something else will happen, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, that's not really together. I don't know where Bandcamp is, if they're purchasing, or just curious to listen. Bandcamp is where my catalog is collected there, and if they wanted to download or whatever, that's one way to do it.
Okay. Any other future plans coming up? Touring? Anything like that, Al?
Oh, that'd be nice. It's sort of stagnated, boy. Yeah, by the time I wrap up these records, I should be free to ramble a bit.
Okay.
But no, nothing I can plug, really.
Okay.
Just yet.
All right. Well, I want to encourage everyone to check out this album. It's called Water, Blood, Whiskey, and it's out now. It's been out a while. Al, I'm sorry it took so long to
Water,
connect.
Blood, and Whiskey.
Water, Blood, and Whiskey? Oh, yeah, sorry. And I see the ampersand down there. It's in the bottom. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's hard to see.
Is it? Okay, it's not just me. I'm getting old, and I can't see as well. My eyes ain't working so good. Anyway, Water, Blood, and Whiskey is the name of the record. It's available now. Al, if we can go out on one song, from this collection, which one would it be and why?
Well, I was going to say that's a big if, but that's my reason is only because we didn't talk about it. And what kind of reason is that?
That's a good one.
Like,
that's a good reason. I'm sorry we couldn't get to every single song in this conversation. There are
leave that up.
What
you could play something. This world is flat.
I don't want to go out on this world is flat. I feel like we talked about it a lot, and no, we can. Do you want to go out on that? That's fine. That's from the Whiskey Disc.
Your Dreamin' would be great. You mentioned it. I don't know.
But wait a minute. No. I want to go back to your impulse. Why did you pick That's a Big If? Only because we didn't talk about it?
Well, I like that one, and I don't get to play it enough, so...
Let's play it. What do you want to say about it, though? Or can you give us some backstory on it?
Backstory. That's a big if. Well, you know, people use that expression, right? Well, that's a big if, you know?
Yeah.
And I just thought of some of the biggest ifs I could think of and put them in the song.
Okay. Aaron, do you have any insight about the recording of That's a Big If? Anything like that?
It took us a few tries, and eventually I think we went with it's a drumless take that made it on here. And I think this one features Bruce McKinnon, who's kind of all over these, playing the saxophone, but almost kind of just like breathing through it mostly.
Huh. He
created this wonderful atmosphere in a lot of these things on the alto sax.
Yeah.
And then That's a Big If also.
Joey right on that, or is that you playing the mandolin?
It might be Joey. And this one also features some great rubato playing, where Al kind of, that's the the high level backing of Al is when he drops the beat and you have to kind of just really open your ears and follow along.
Yeah.
So there's a couple sections in there.
There's also, I neglected to ask about it. I appreciate that, Aaron. Thank you. Al, do you want to tell us about a bugle part? Before we end this, there's a significant bugle part on this album. Can you tell us about the bugle player?
Well, yeah, the bugle player is my son, Ivan. He's 9 now, at the time, very young. And the bugle belonged to sort of a house guest we had back then named Bill McFadden, who was a notable person around here, and at one time had been the town crier. So he had one of these one-note bugles left over from those days, I think, from when he was the town crier. And so Ivan, always happy to dive into the fray, blew this one-note bugle through the song that I wrote for Bill just before he died, and got to sing it for him to express my gratitude to him, I guess.
And what song is that? What song is that again?
Wherever You Have Fled, I ended up calling it. Song for Bill McFadden.
Oh, yes, there it is, on Water. Yeah, it's lovely. And by the way, you do a version of Gord Downey's Chancellor here, and oddly enough, that's a song I always used to sing to my daughter at bedtime with a guitar, and I would go up and she would request it. Vampires, she would say. I want to hear the vampire song. So when I heard your version, I'm like, Al and I have been bonded for life somehow. And that song, sorry, it just made me sentimental for our friendship.
Well, it happens to me too, but for our friendship, because that's the first thing we recorded here after Aaron started to move back to PEI.
There you go.
And we did it right here in Charlottetown in former dwelling.
Yeah.
And it's Aaron's makes up the majority of that, the fabric of that song, having arranged the strings as well, if he didn't play them, and play the bass and whatnot. So that's perfect example of our collaborative setup.
Well, it's very lovely to hear about this union between you, Al, and you, Aaron. It's really. I just want to say thank you for making time for me, and I will say for those who've gotten a sense of this record now, the recordings themselves have their own personality. The record has a dynamic sonic quality as well. And I think that really infuses the material with its own gravity as well. So anyway,
Gravity?
I'm clumsily saying, go ahead, Al.
You're throwing down the gauntlet there. Gravity,
Yeah,
did
well,
you say?
yeah, I think so. Maybe I chose the wrong word. I'm just riffing. And if I'm wrong, then that's a big if. Here it is now. That's a big if. From Water, Blood, and Whiskey by Al Tuck. Al, Aaron, thank you so much for making time for me. I hope this was enjoyable and that we speak again at some point in the future. Best luck and with everything.
Yeah, thanks, Vish.
Thanks so much, Vish.
If I could save one red shield dollar, I would go and grab my uncle by the collar so he'd know. I would go where he followed with the flow today, tomorrow. If I could save one red shield dollar, don't you know? If I could squeeze you and make merry in my dreams, I'd first ensure that everything's just as it seems. Poke my nose and take one tiny whiff. But that's a big if. It's such a big if they would only just repent and set us free. If they would finally relent, just let us be. If I could give something up for let, then let me see. I wonder, what would it be? It'd be to shake the stinking status of a ghost and be the baddest of the bad you love the most. If only they just walk off a cliff. But that's a big if. It's such a big if. If a man could lead night life, he'd be grateful to share with thee three. I can't believe I ever thought I'm on a ball. So I'm glad I got down to the bottom of it all. But if you're courting me, you court a stranger. I'm illegal, I'm in danger. You look regal when you occupy your throne. The day may come when you can say you're satisfied. If we don't win, at least they can't say we never tried. And if you can't have me, then really what's the diff? But that's a big if. It's such a big if. It's such a big if.
That's a Big If by Al Tuck from the wonderful and most recent triple record, Water, Blood, and Whiskey. Very special thanks to Al and Aaron for joining me on this, the 895th episode of Creative Control, which is part of the Lionsgate Sound Network and is available wherever you get your podcast, pretty much. If you can't find an episode you've heard about and you're looking for it, or if you want to learn more about me, please visit vishkhanna.com. Actually, click on the hyperlink text in the show notes that says follow Vish online to follow me on various internet things, social media, and whatnot. Most significantly, if you can, please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol to make a flexible monthly donation to keep this podcast going and me working and making some kind of living. This is my main job these days, and I'm enjoying it. However, there's always a little bit of anxiety because, the money goes up, the money goes down. That's how crowdfunding kind of works, But there are different tiers that you can sign up for. At $1 a month, American, these are all American figures, by the way. Wherever you live, it'll convert it to your currency type. But at $1 a month, you get my newsletter, weekly newsletters that tell you who's coming up on the show in a given week, and I'm trying to tell little stories and some background about maybe my guests or just what's going on in my life. $4, you start to get whole episodes, but not every single one. At $6 or more a month, you get every single episode. At $10, and you get bonus stuff too. And then at $10 or more a month, you get entered into our monthly random prize pack draws, and those have been pretty fun. People have really been labels and people have been supporting me and my work by offering these nice gifts, and I offer them to you. So I just want to put that out there. There's other tiers, of course. If you're a high roller and you want to support me with like some sort of massive monthly infusion, $1,000 a month, you're one of these people that likes to give to arts organizations, connect with me. I'm happy to hear from you and happy to entertain such things, and flattered that anyone makes time to donate at all. But anyway, it means a lot. To learn more, patreon.com/creativecontrol. Thank you so much. Also want to thank some independent businesses, Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, Ontario, and Granddad's Donuts in Hamilton, Ontario for their in-kind support for this show. Always want to thank my friend Jim Guthrie. He loans me some music that you hear on the show from time to time, and you can learn more about him at jimguthrie.org. And finally, thank you for listening to this episode with Al Tuck and Aaron Comeau, and for subscribing to this podcast or following it and leaving nice ratings and reviews on your pod platforms and telling your friends about it. It all helps. I hope you're well. I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.